welcome to my channel. Subscribe, listen, and enjoy my stories every day. The evening hummed with the usual tranquility of a suburban home as I sat down in our living room, the comforting familiarity of the space wrapping around me like a warm blanket. My wife, Melissa, was particularly passionate about scrapbooking, a hobby she said kept her memories vivid and alive. Tonight, she had gleefully shown me her latest creation before heading to her weekly yoga class, leaving me to explore the intricate pages alone. Flipping through the scrapbook, I admired her dedication to preserving our shared experiences, the vacations, the family gatherings, all captured with an artistic flair. The pages smelled of fresh glue and craft paper, each turn revealing a montage of our life together. It was a page halfway through, however, that snatched the air from my lungs. There, amidst pictures of laughter and landscapes, was a photo of Melissa, arms wrapped tightly around a man I had never seen before. His face was unfamiliar, yet the way she leaned into him sparked a hollow feeling in my gut. With a shaky hand, I turned to the next page, hoping for an innocent explanation hidden in the subsequent photos. But the further I delved, the more my heart sank. There were more pictures of them, each more intimate than the last, at a cafe, walking in the park, his hand always finding a place on her back or shoulder. A nauseous swirl of betrayal began to churn inside me as the realization took hold. The room grew colder, the walls seemingly closing in as I sat back, the scrapbook falling to my lap. I had to know more. Pulling out my phone, I dialed my best friend, Aaron, who picked up after the first ring. "Hey, man, what's up? You sound off," Aaron's voice came through, tinged with concern. "It's Melissa. I found pictures in her scrapbook. Pictures of her with some guy, Aaron. They look close, too close," I managed to say, my voice a mix of confusion and rising anger. There was a pause, a heavy silence that seemed to carry my fear across the line. "Are you sure, man? Maybe it's a misunderstanding. You guys have been solid for years," Aaron tried to reassure me, but his words felt hollow. "I wish it were that simple. But you've got to see these pictures to believe it. It's not just friendly, it's intimate. I need to find out who this guy is," I said, a plan starting to form in the depth of my shock and betrayal. Okay, let's not jump to any conclusions. I'm coming over. We'll figure this out together," Aaron replied, his voice now firm with resolve. The rest of the evening blurred into a frenzy of strategy as Aaron arrived. We pored over social media, trying to match the face from the photos to friends, acquaintances, anyone who could give us a clue. The night grew deep, and our search turned up nothing, but my decision was clear. As the first light of dawn crept through the curtains, I looked at Aaron, determination setting in. I'm going to confront her today. I need the truth, and if my suspicions are right, I'll make sure she regrets this betrayal. Aaron nodded, placing a supportive hand on my shoulder. "Whatever happens, I'm here, man. We'll get through this together." As I set the scrapbook aside, preparing for the confrontation, a silent promise filled the space between heartbeats. I would uncover the truth, and if my worst fears were confirmed, there would be consequences. Melissa's deception wouldn't just shatter our past, it would redefine our futures. And from those shattered pieces, I was ready to forge a path I never imagined I'd have to walk. The morning sun was barely cresting over the horizon when I decided it was time. My hands trembled slightly as I prepared for the confrontation that would inevitably change the course of our lives. I rehearsed what I would say, how I would confront Melissa about the photos, about the man whose presence in her life was a stark betrayal of our vows. As the clock ticked closer to the time Melissa usually returned from her yoga class, my resolve hardened. I positioned the scrapbook on the kitchen table, the incriminating photos turned to the forefront, awaiting her arrival. The sound of the door clicking open sent a jolt through my body. Melissa entered, her face flushed from her morning exercise, a smile lingering on her lips, unaware of the storm brewing inside me. Hey, love, she greeted, her voice light. She stopped short as she noticed the open scrapbook on the table. Oh, you looked through it. Did you like? Who is he, Melissa? I cut her off, my voice steady but cold, pointing at the picture of her and the mysterious man. Her smile faltered, confusion flickering across her features. Who? What are you talking about? This man. I thrust the book towards her, my finger jabbing at the photo. I found these pictures, Melissa. Pictures of you with him, looking a bit too close. I need the truth, now. Melissa's eyes widened, her lips parting slightly as if the words were trapped behind them. She took a deep breath, her shoulders sagging as she collected herself. Tom. Tom is just a friend from the photography club. We took those during outings. It's not what it looks like. A friend? I scoffed, disbelief and anger bubbling up. These don't look like just friends' pictures, Melissa. There's something going on, isn't there? We're just friends, I swear. Yes, we've become close, maybe too close, but nothing has happened beyond what you see in those pictures, she pleaded, her voice quivering. Do you think I'm a fool? I snapped, my voice rising. I trusted you, Melissa. And you've been lying to me with this friend? I haven't lied to you, I swear it was nothing, she started, but I wasn't having any of it. I need some air, I said abruptly, cutting off any more of her excuses. I grabbed my jacket and stormed out of the house, the cool morning air doing little to temper the heat of my anger. As I walked through our neighborhood, the paths we often strolled together now tainted with the shadows of deceit, I dialed Erin. She claims he's just a friend from her club, but I don't believe her. It's too intimate, Erin. It doesn't add up. Stay calm, man. Let's think this through. Maybe it's time to dig a little deeper, find out more about this guy, about their meetings. If she's not telling the truth, we'll find out. Erin's voice was a lifeline in the tumultuous sea of my thoughts. Yeah, you're right. I'll do some digging. She's at her class every Thursday night too. Maybe I should check out this photography club of hers, see what's really going on. Good idea. Just be careful, okay? We don't want this blowing up even worse. As I ended the call, a plan began to form. I wasn't just going to sit back and let the truth escape me. I needed answers, and I was determined to uncover them, no matter how painful they might be. Melissa's betrayal, whether emotional or more, had already left a gash in our marriage, and I was intent on exposing the full extent of her deceit. The gears were set in motion, and I was ready to confront whatever came next. The rest of the week passed with a tense silence hanging between Melissa and me. I was burning with a cold determination, focusing all my energy on uncovering the full extent of what had been happening behind my back. Thursday couldn't come soon enough, and as it arrived, I found myself gearing up for a visit to the so-called photography club Melissa had mentioned. Equipped with nothing but the need for truth, I drove across town to the community center where the club supposedly met. The building was quiet, save for the muffled sounds of a meeting in one of the back rooms. I slipped inside unnoticed, my heart pounding as I neared the door, marked with a simple sign, Photography Club, Meeting in Progress. Peering through the slightly ajar door, I spotted Melissa immediately, her laughter echoing slightly as she interacted freely with the group. And there he was, the man from the photos, Tom. They were reviewing photographs on a laptop, their heads close together, their familiarity undeniable. My grip tightened on the doorframe, the sting of betrayal fresh as if seeing it for the first time. I didn't barge in, instead, I waited. As the meeting wrapped up, I followed Tom to the parking lot. It was now or never. Tom! I called out as I approached him, my voice firm. He turned, surprise etching his features as he faced me. Can I help you? I think you know my wife, Melissa, I started, watching his expression carefully. His slight hesitation was all the confirmation I needed. Melissa? Yes, I know her from the club. Great photographer, he replied, trying to keep his tone neutral. Cut the crap, Tom. I've seen the photos. What's going on between you two? My voice was low but laced with accusation. Tom sighed, running a hand through his hair. Look, I don't think this is the place to. Nowhere better, I cut him off. Tell me the truth. He looked around nervously, then leaned in closer. Okay, fine. We got close, maybe too close. I like her, but we haven't done anything beyond talk and, yes, a few too intimate moments. I'm sorry, man. The confession hit like a punch to the gut, even though I'd expected it. Does she love you? I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. No, it's not like that. We just connected, I guess, Tom replied, his voice filled with a regret that did nothing to ease my pain. I nodded slowly, my mind racing. Thanks for being honest, at least, I said before turning away, leaving Tom standing in the dim light of the parking lot. Driving home, the weight of Tom's admission settled heavily on me. Melissa had crossed a line, and though it might not have been as far as I feared, it was far enough to shatter the trust one had in her. I arrived home to find Melissa waiting up for me, her eyes anxious. Where were you? She asked as I walked in. I went to your club, I stated flatly, watching her reaction closely. Melissa paled, her hands clenching at her sides. You what? Why would you? To see for myself. To see you and Tom, I interrupted, the hurt clear in my voice. Melissa's eyes filled with tears, her usual composure crumbling. I'm so sorry, she whispered, stepping towards me. I never meant for any of this to happen. I stepped back, needing space. We need to talk, Melissa. Really talk. And you need to be honest with me about everything. As we sat down, the distance between us more profound than ever, I prepared myself for the conversation that would decide the fate of our marriage. The betrayal was deep, but I needed to understand the full scope before I could think about forgiveness or revenge. Tonight, it all lay bare. The air in our living room was thick with tension as Melissa and I faced each other, the remnants of our shattered trust hanging palpably between us. Her eyes, once a source of warmth and comfort, now mirrored the storm of emotions I felt churning inside me. I need to know everything, Melissa. No more lies, no more hiding, I demanded, my voice steady despite the turmoil inside. Melissa nodded, her hands trembling slightly. I understand. I owe you that much, she began, her voice barely above a whisper. Tom and we started talking more and more at the club. It was innocent at first, but I was lonely. You were always working, and I felt like I was fading into the background of your life. So you turned to him. I interjected, my tone sharp. Yes, but it was never physical, I swear. It was an emotional connection. We shared things I felt I couldn't share with you anymore, she confessed, her eyes pleading for understanding. That doesn't make it any better, I said coldly. You betrayed our marriage, Melissa. An affair of the heart is still an affair. I know, and I'm so sorry. I never meant to hurt you, she sobbed, reaching out for me. I recoiled from her touch, the space between us a chasm filled with betrayal. Sorry isn't enough this time. I can't just forgive and forget, I stated, my decision crystallizing in the icy barrier around my heart. Melissa's face crumpled, her realization dawning that this might be the end. What are you saying? Are you leaving me? No, I replied, a plan forming in my mind. You are going to leave. Tonight. Melissa looked stunned. Where would I go? Anywhere but here. I don't care, as long as it's away from me, I spat out, the venom in my voice a stark contrast to the love that once lived there. Tears streamed down her cheeks as she hurriedly packed a bag, her movements frantic amidst the oppressive silence. After she left, the house felt eerily quiet, a hollow shell of the home it used to be. But I wasn't done yet. My rage demanded more than just her departure, it demanded retribution. I knew that exposing their deception would be the perfect revenge. I took the photographs from the scrapbook and scanned them, creating copies that I then mailed to Tom's wife and to his employer, with a detailed note explaining Tom's inappropriate relationship with a married woman. The fallout was immediate and satisfying. Tom's wife left him, and his reputation suffered immensely. Melissa reached out once, her life unraveling at the seams, but I was resolute. I didn't respond. Months passed, and the divorce papers were finalized. The last I heard, Melissa had moved out of state, her dream of a peaceful life shattered by the chaos of her own making. I stayed in the house, the walls now stripped of any memories of her deceit. One evening, as I sifted through the mail, I found a letter from Melissa. Her handwriting, once so familiar, now seemed foreign. I opened it, curiosity getting the better of my resentment. Inside, she wrote of her regret, her understanding of the pain she had caused, and her wish for my happiness. She admitted that the separation had given her a perspective on the depth of her mistakes and the pain she had inflicted. She ended the letter with a farewell, knowing that this was the end. I read the letter, the words a bitter reminder of what had been lost. With a deep sigh, I tossed the letter into the fireplace, watching as the flames consumed her words. As the paper turned to ash, so too did the last remnants of my pain. In that moment, I realized that my revenge hadn't just punished them, it had freed me. I had clung to the anger because it was easier than facing the grief, but now, as I watched the smoke rise up the chimney, I felt lighter. The past would always be a part of me, but it would no longer define my future. As the fire died down to glowing embers, I turned away, ready to rebuild my life on my own terms, the echoes of betrayal finally silenced in the warmth of my newfound resolve.